Hey guys, what's up? Demi-Luna here. Today we're going to be talking about gearing and preparing for endgame in Marvel Heroes. Last week I mentioned that doing the dailies was important because of the Heroes and Protectors commendations. Here's why. You can use these commendations to buy upgrade recipes for your gear, slot 1 through 5 to 66 and 69. These give massive boosts to your overall stat rolls on gear and even the skills. And you can also use the accommodations to buy specific challenge bonuses and raid unique recipes. We'll get to those next week in the min-maxing video. Getting the 66 and 69 recipes will take a few weeks, so at least since you can only get 250 of each week. But that doesn't make them any less important. Try to get as much as you can every week, doing the weekly mission as well as the dailies I mentioned last week. Will give you heroes and protectors commendations. They also unlock more upgrades like the 66 and 69 medallion and insignia upgrades. Now let's take a closer look to all the item slots we had available. I skimmed over most of them in the first video, but there's the legendary slot, the relic slot, Uruforged item slot, the ring slot, the insignia slot, the pet slot is even important, and the 4 artifact slots, as well as the costume. You can roll offensive affixes on your costume. And don't worry, you don't have to buy one, you can roll them on any costume, also the one you start out with. First off, let's start with the legendary items. You can buy the legendary items right here at the legendary item vendor for 300 Odin marks. You probably noticed by now that the Odin marks drop from completing legendary quests. Each of these legendaries cost 300 Odin marks. And they give pretty major stat boosts, as you can see by just mousing over them. At this point in the game, or at this gear level for the legendaries, there's two types, the item level 70 and item level 80 legendaries. The item level 80 legendaries are 1000 Odin marks and require a specific amount of Genosha Liberation Force influence, so just focus on getting one of these for now if you want to get into actual endgame. You can always build up to the next legendary later. These cost 300 marks, which is quite a few, but at this point you want the Gungnir on almost everybody, so if you want to make a safe bet, just buy the Gungnir and you'll be good. Second off, let's have a look at the artifacts. There is quite a few artifacts, and there is a few good ones and a lot of bad ones. And the best ones are boss-specific ones, which only drop off specific bosses. So that is actually more for actual min-maxing. So for now, just look for artifacts that have damage rating, crit damage, brute rating, or plus the powers. Like as much of those stats as you can get on one artifact, or even one is better than nothing at all. So, yeah, we'll get into the details of the actual artifacts to look for in the next video. Next up, relics. Relics are the type of item that drop randomly and stack up to 1000. And the best way to get these is turning uniques into the relic stacks at the crafter. For your main hero, the Relic of Atlantis is the best DPS relic in the game, which I'm showing right now. The Relic of Lemuria is really good for survivability. Those two relics are really the only ones that matter for your main hero. Next up we have the Uruforged item slot, which is a pretty basic item to begin with. Like if you look at the blank Uruforged item, it just has like 200 mental damage rating. But at the enchanter right here, you can put rune words on these items, giving them amazing extra stats, such as, let's see, extra melee and melee damage rating and melee crit rating, for example. But you do need specific runes, which you've probably seen drop by now. Hang on to as much of these as you can. Another thing you can do with the Enchanter is put blessings on your artifacts. The only blessing worth a damn is the Hela blessing, because it gives you 5% undiminished brutal strike chance. If you're going to get any blessing, these go on artifacts, by the way. If you're going to get any blessing, get the Hela blessing for everyone. And you can put 4 of them on your character, so in total you need 700 Odin marks for one character. Don't worry about the artifacts you put these on, because there is a recipe at the crafter that allows you to swap blessings between artifacts for a small amount of credits. So yeah, don't be too stingy with putting these on an artifact. The next item slot is the insignia slot. This is a team-based slot, like the Wasp Aura you see here. The Winsome Wasp Aura gives crit rating for ranged powers and crit damage to everyone around you if you hit with a power. The 2 stats you see rolled below it are random rolls you can get on an insignia, and those only benefit you. Insignias drop up to purple. You can get a recipe to craft them to cosmic, but that'll apply in the min-maxing video. The ring slot is fairly basic. Basically, you're either going to end up using an ICP signet, Industry City signet in here, or a cosmic ring, depending on if your hero is a hybrid or not. If you're a 1 damage type hero, you're going to be wanting using an ICP ring. If your hero is a hybrid, you're going to be wanting to use a cosmic ring. Preferably with stats like melee damage on a melee hero, crit damage, brute damage, health, or range damage, crit damage, brute damage, health for a ranged hero. The pet slot is kind of important as well, but unless you're spending Gs, you won't be getting one anytime soon. You can buy 1 pet for splinters, but most people prefer to buy heroes instead. The stat increases you get on a pet are somewhat small, like they help, but just keep in mind that there is extra stats to be gotten on a mini pet. Whether you get one from a fortune card or a login reward or buy one for splinters. Another thing you can do for stat increases is buying a team up. Team ups have passive effects. You can also summon them, but nobody summons team ups. Everybody wants the passive effect. Like here's Wolverine, gives brutal strike rating, brutal strike damage, a bit of Rift, Sif, and Credit Find. All the team ups come with this one, by the way. And some extra procs for some added damage or survivability. You can also slap team up gear on them, which can further increase your damage, but the team up gear doesn't really add a whole lot of stats. Just keep in mind that it's there. There is one issue with team ups. You have no idea what their passives are when you don't have them unlocked. So if you want to play it safe, Firestar and Falcon have really good passives that are applicable to anyone. But team-ups can only be bought with splinters or Gs, so you may not want to dive into these too fast. The stats they add are minor, but everything adds up in the end. Another thing you're going to start looking at is the hero synergy system, which you may have noticed by now if you already have a level 60. These synergies, you can select up to 10 on any hero, and they all add stats to your hero in some way or another. The synergies you want to start out with, or want to have at the very least, are Cable, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, and Star-Lord. Because no matter what damage type you are, with those 4 synergies you can get 6% undiminished crit chance on any hero. That 6% undiminished crit is the biggest DPS increase you can get via synergies. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. With all of this in mind, you'll actually have to gear out your hero in some form. The best way to do this at this point, because you're going to be lacking gear, is to do Industry City Patrol or Midtown Madness on Mondays, because Midtown Madness Mondays gives slightly better loot than Industry City Patrol, but outside of that, Industry City Patrol is better. So yeah, with all of that in mind, you can start farming for the items you need, while leveling alts for synergies, etc. Next week, I'll be back with another video regarding min-maxing and optimized character builds working towards the actual endgame. And after that, I will dedicate a full video to the Omega system, which you will probably have heard of by now. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, something I forgot, leave a comment down below and let me know. Or drop by my live stream, which I will link in the description. I'm out.